Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you are new. If you are new here, my name is Elena. I am the homeschooling mom to 3 kiddos, and here on my channel we talk about everything from homeschooling to homemaking and all the chaos and inspiration we try to draw from it. This morning I'm getting ready to prep a Teachers Pay Teachers curriculum from the Moffatt Girls. My youngest son is on the autism spectrum. He is in kind of a kinder/first grade, and we have been working through Math Made Fun with him. So since this is a printable curriculum, I thought I'd bring you along with me and kind of show you how we pick and choose which pages we want to use and how I set it up. So if that's something you'd like to watch, stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and go to the actual Teachers Pay Teachers site. I really love this site. Let me know if you want me to kind of show you all the things that we pull up in here and the things we do. So you'll see, I'm just going to put in the search, I started typing Moffatt Girls and she comes up right here. This is the source that we're using today. So if we scroll down, the one that we are going to be pulling up today and working with is the Math Made Fun, and I believe I'm still working through the kinder one with him. So you can see she has lots of different kinds of these are really good. I really like them. They're hands-on type things, curriculum for the kids. She does not just math but also language arts, directed drawings, just a lot of fun stuff. So here, actually in the highlighted ones, is the kindergarten math Made Fun bundle, and we're just going to kind of continue working through this with my son. So I have purchased this and I have it downloaded, but if you haven't, you would want to go ahead and click on that, or you could also use the search and put up Math Made Fun or whichever one you're looking for. You can let's see here, I already have it downloaded, otherwise it would say purchase or something like that here. Let me show you on one that I haven't purchased, just in case you're not familiar, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't think we purchased this one, so let's look at that. Oh, I'm just kidding, I did purchase that one. Okay, so this one I haven't purchased. If you haven't purchased something, it'll say add one to cart. But because I have purchased the Math Made Fun, we're going to go in and I already have it downloaded, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I apologize because I can't figure out how to get it to print from my laptop, and on this computer I don't think I have like a screen record function. This is a pretty old computer, so it's gonna be like bad screen quality, but I think you'll get the gist of it. So I decided I'm actually going to go ahead and start with Unit 4 for my son, or continue on with Unit 4. I was looking through Unit 3 and I think he's got that down packed. If not, we can just come back and do a couple of things. So what I'm going to do here is print out this is the lessons and assessments. So this is, the only difference is instead of doing Unit 3, I'm printing out Unit 4. So like I said, I don't usually print out this first page, how are the units designed, because I kind of already know. I also don't print out the second page, but I do start with page 4, and then I'm going to go all the way down to page 20 and see if that's something that I need or if that's just an extra. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead, we'll print pages 4 to 20, and the way that I do this is I go over to the print little button there. There we go. So here's how I print it. I'm going to go to pages, and I'm only going to print pages 4 through 20. And does it save me a whole bunch of pages? No, not really, but you know, it saves a little bit, and every little bit counts, I feel like. So here where it says paper size and handling, I'm going to go over to booklet. So this one here that I've pressed says booklet. Let me see if I can get you in just a little bit more. Okay, so I've pressed booklet, and what that does is it's going to kind of make it a little book instead. And so that's how I print it out. It will print out 2 pages. Instead of being a full 8.5 by 11, it'll make it like a little booklet for me. And that's what I want. So here's one that I printed out for Unit 3. Let me scooch you back. Here's one that I printed out for Unit 3, and it just makes a little booklet for me with the lesson plans and assessments in it. So I'm going to print this out first, and then we're going to go through this together so I can figure out which lessons and which centers I want to print, because I don't print them all out. so here's my sheets, and you'll see it just kind of created a little booklet so that all I have to do is literally just fold it in half. At this point, I was going ahead and stapling it here. I might, let's see. Like I said, you could print the whole pages and your book would look much prettier, but I don't really need that. The next thing that we're going to do as I go through is I'm going to look at the different lessons. So this one here, Unit 4, Lesson 1, it tells you what the objective of the lesson is. They'll be able to identify and create sets that show less. This one is comparing numbers, this unit. And then review, you're going to count to 100, hook, give 6 crayons to one student and 1 crayon to another, and then ask them if they think it's fair, why or not. Then it goes over the mini lesson, and then it goes over the practice. So as you saw in the files earlier, there are lesson sheets, and then there are also centers. So how it works is they have kind of a worksheet that they go through, 1 or 2 worksheets, and then they have like a more hands-on type center. So here is what we're looking at. The center, this one is center 1, and this one is practice pages 1 and 2. You can very easily just print everything out and only use what you want to use, but I try to save as much like paper and things like that as we can going through and not print off excess. I have gone ahead and printed everything because I've just been not wanting to go through page by page, but I think I'm going to go through page by page and just print off what we need. So what I'm going to do is go into the center. I'm going to open both the centers and the practice pages, and then kind of go through and see which ones I think would apply to my son and which ones wouldn't, and print them off. And then I will show you how I kind of do that and keep track of it. You're going to want some scratch paper, so we have some scratch paper, this, and then let's pull up the 2 folders. Okay, so here is the folder of the download. Again, I apologize for the really bad quality here, but they have a folder marked centers and then a folder marked practice pages. I'm going to open both of those in Adobe. So they have, when you open centers, they have K for kinder, Unit 4, which is what we're on, the Unit 4 centers. So this first one here is the full colored sheets. She also gives you an option to do the centers in just black and white, and then she has recording sheets. Since we are homeschool, and I don't have multiple students doing this at the same time, I am just going to go ahead. I don't print out the recording sheets. So I'm going to go ahead and open the full color ones. Sometimes I will do some in black and white, but I go ahead and open the full colored ones because it just kind of makes it a little exciting for him. So when you open it, you'll see, oops, a little too far. When you open it, you'll see she gives you a page here that shows you a look at the centers in action. So just kind of how she uses them or has intended them to be used. And so I often will actually print this out to kind of remind myself, what are we supposed to, when I pull out the center and then I'm like, what are we supposed to do with this? If I need a reminder, I have this page here. So sometimes this is when I'll print the black and white pages of these, but we have been doing this math for about a little over half a school year, and I feel like I kind of have a good idea, so I'm going to skip printing these out right now, I think. Then it goes into, so this next page is the math standards. It kind of shows you what your standards are for each center. I don't print that out, and then these here are also something you can print out to go with each center. So these I do print out. These are just kind of like here for center 1, count and clip. You're going to count the objects in the box, and if the number matches the rule at the top of the strip, you're going to clip a clothespin on the box. And then each strip has 3 matching boxes. So up on top it says, I know it's hard to see, but up on top here it says equal to 5. And they're supposed to pick the 3 dominoes that equal to the number 5. And then this one is like greater than 6. And they're supposed to pick the 3 domino sets that are greater than 6. So this is pages, let's see, 6 through page 6 to 16. So here's where our scratch paper is going to come in handy. I am going to just mark down what pages I want to print. So pages 6 through 16. Now, there are 2 centers to each page on here, and I just don't need a half, like a center title page this big. This is about half a sheet, so it would print out this big. So I print out pages 6 through 16, and I'm going to put half page up on here. And I know that everything under this title that says half page are the pages that I'm going to print 2 to a page. So when I do that, these that would normally fit 2 to a page, this sheets here, will print out 4. So that will save a little space for me and a little bit of papers. So I'm going to open up the practice pages also. And these are the practice pages. So again, she gives you a full like title page. So you can print out all the practice pages and put it like in a 3-ring binder, or like if you have a binding machine that kind of does the spiral on the side, you can do that for your students if you like. I don't print all of them out, so I don't do that. So I'm not going to print the title page out. I'm not going to print these kind of information sheets that tells us, you know, what grade level standards they are, and kind of just gives the intro. This is a sheet that gives you a kind of peek at all of the pages that are in there, so I don't print that out because I don't need that. And my computer is frozen. And then this is how to organize the units. So this is how she recommends organizing the units. I do mine a little bit different. She likes to keep hers in a binder in sheet protectors, it says. And then here we kind of do this. This is how she organizes the units by putting them in little bags. And I do similar to that. You'll see. And then these are materials that she suggests you use if you'd like to set it up the way that she has it. These are more of the math standards. And then on page 13, we finally get into the actual worksheets. So it is page 13 in the file, but here down at the bottom, I know you can't see it, but that little area there actually says page 1. So this is how you know which pages she's talking about in here are on there. So for instance, lesson 1, you're going to go over center 1, which was the dominoes and the not paper clips, the clothespins. I am going to go ahead and print off center 1 because I think that is going to be a great center for my son. But these are practice pages. She has practice pages 1 and 2. So it would be this page here, comparing numbers, and this page here, less than sets. I think both of these would be great for my kiddo, so I'm going to put down on my scratch paper. I'm going to make another kind of column, and I'm going to put full page, and then I write standard. So for me, this means I'm going to print this on these pages under here on a full page, 8.5 by 11, on just regular printer paper. So I'm just going to start writing down the page numbers that I'm going to print. So it's her worksheet started on page 13 in the file. So for me, they'll print out pages 13 to 14. And then I'm going to keep going through this, kind of looking at the different practice pages and centers and figuring out which ones I want to print and which ones I don't. And so that is, like I said, these are extra steps you don't have to take. You absolutely can print out everything and then just sort through it that way. It would be easier, but it will also use more paper, more ink, etc., etc. So I've done it both ways. This is just how we're going to do it this quarter around. So I'm going to go ahead and thumb through, look through the ones I want to print out for my kiddo, and make our columns. Okay, so here's something I just wanted to show you also. So here we are on lesson 1. On lesson 1, she has practice pages 1 and 2. For lesson 2, she goes to practice pages 5, 6, and 7. So you'll see that pages 3 and 4 were not used. They will be used as kind of extra worksheets if you needed that extra practice or wanted it. On the back, she does list the pages that she hasn't used, unused pages, and then there's some unused centers that aren't used as well. So most of the time, if I don't feel we need that extra practice, I won't print it out. And that's where I'm just saving just a little bit of ink and paper. So here she has 3 practice pages, pages 5, 6, and 7. I know my son, and I know he will not sit for all 3 of those practice pages. And looking at the practice pages, I think that he has already mastered what is on page 7, so I'm not going to have him do that. If we need extra practice, I have some like math games or things like that we could also do instead of this. So I've just written down the pages that need to be printed. Pages 5 and 6 are on pages 17 and 18 of the file, but they're worksheet numbers 5 and 6. And then since I didn't print page 7, what I do is go ahead and just cross off 7. So when I'm looking at the lesson plan for that day, I know, oh, I didn't print that page, so I'm not looking for it. So I will mark in here notes if I don't print something, or if I printed something on a smaller scale, to just kind of remind myself the day we go through the lesson. So I just wanted to point that out too, that I go ahead and I write in here what's being printed and what's not also. So I'm going to continue going through and looking through the practice pages that I want to get printed, and then I'm going to look through the centers and do the same thing. So I went ahead and I went through all of the practice pages, and these are the pages that I'm going to print. They're not all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and get my printer and print all of these out, because this is for the centers, so I don't want to get myself confused. I started going back and forth, but then I realized that's a bad idea. So I'm going to go ahead and print out the pages that I wanted to print out on the full page, on standard, just regular printer paper. I'm going to get those printed out. I'm going to go to pages. I'm going to go to pages, and then I'm just going to pick the pages that I have printed here that I want to have printed. I'm going to make sure that I go back to size, because it was still on booklet, and I'm going to put it to, I think mine automatically goes to like shrink oversized pages or fit. I don't think it really makes that big of a difference. I notice sometimes when I do actual size, for whatever reason, I think it just may be like my computer and printer, a tiny bit of the edges can get cut off, but that's not too big of a deal for us. So I'm going to print out these pages for the lessons and just put them aside for now. Okay, so the lesson pages are printed out. I'm just going to set them to the side for now, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the centers. So I'm just going to go through here, see which centers she suggests using, and whether or not we want to print all of them out. Now, as I go through the centers, I already know that I want to print out the kind of title sheets, so that the ones that have like what the center is, center 1, and shows it. And then I'm going to just go through and I'm going to put, typically I do some on cardstock. So I'll have a new cardstock, like full page. And then I will probably have another one that's like a half sheet cardstock. And as I go through the centers, I'm going to figure out which pages I think could be printed at a half size, but I want on cardstock, which ones I think need to be printed on cardstock and I want full page, and then I'll keep this full page standard, and then I already have a half page. Just so these are regular printer paper type sheets, and then cardstock ones. So I'm going to go through the centers. So for example, this first center, I think these cards should be printed for my little man on full-size sheets, but I think that regular printer paper sheet might be too flimsy for him. So I'm going to put them on cardstock, or thicker paper. So this lesson is, or the center is from, on the file, page 17 to 21. So I'm going to just mark on my sheet under full page cardstock 17 to 21. And then I'm going to keep going through each one. This neck centers is a spinner. It has 2 spinners. Those should definitely be put on cardstock. And because the spinners are kind of small already, I'm going to print those on cardstock as well. So I'll put those pages down, and I'll just kind of divvy it up that way and see what needs to be printed on what type of paper. I printed out the pages that have the centers first, and I did print them 2 to a page. So now instead of having each of these be a half size sheet, it's just a quarter size. So as I was going through the lesson plan, looking through what centers, I could kind of have a better idea by just looking at this. So then I picked out the ones that I thought he would participate in. Sorry, my kiddos are in the room with me playing on the computer. So I went through and I picked out the ones I thought he would do and the ones that I just felt that maybe he either wouldn't do or we didn't need to print because they were extras. So the great thing is if I don't print it, I can always go back in and print it at a later time. But if we don't end up needing it, then I didn't kind of waste that. Not that it would be a waste because I do feel like we would eventually use it. Anyways, so the ones that I didn't print, I just put in pencil here. I don't know if you can see, didn't print so that I know as I'm putting them together and I'm like, oh, where's this? The pages for this. I know which ones I printed and didn't print. And then she also puts in extra centers for like extra work. And so I didn't print all of those either, but I did print out one that I thought he would really enjoy. And I actually subbed that in for one that I didn't think he would sit still for at all. So as I went through the centers on the computer, I put which ones I wanted to print, like I thought I could make smaller for him and print on a half a page, and which ones I felt needed to be on cardstock and whatnot. So now I'm going to go through just one column at a time. Since I have regular printer paper in the printer right now, I'm going to do the half pages first and print all those out, and then I'm going to go through and print out the full size pages that I want to print out on printer paper, and then I'll switch the paper that's in my printer to cardstock and do the same thing. Print out all our full page cardstock, the ones that I want on the full page, and then I'll print out the ones that I want to do on the half sheet. And after I have all that printed out, I will show you how I put it all together. Okay, so I finally have it all printed out now. So here in this stack, this is all the centers that I printed. It is both the half sheet on cardstock, the full sheets on cardstock, and then the ones that I printed on just regular printer paper. So now it's time to put it all together. Okay, first I'm just going to set up the actual lesson plans in the folder, and I'm going to do the centers in a little bit. And then in here, this is just one of these like really floppy folders. It has the prongs for the 3 instead of rings. It has little prongs, and all I have in here is some page sheet protector sheets. There are some things that I'm going to keep in here that aren't necessarily go with the Moffatt curriculum, the Math Made Fun. I'm going to I keep this number formation poems in the front, and then I'm also going to keep his 100 charts here. Reference for him. So I put the number chart for him here, and then we have this number formations. It just helps him. And then we're also going to put in the lesson plan. And the way that I keep track on what lesson we are on is super simple. Is not fancy at all. I just take one of these like little sticky notes, and then I will put it, we have not started, so I will put it on lesson 1. And then that way I know when we come in to do this tomorrow, or whenever we get to this next section, I will go to lesson 1, we'll do the lesson. If we complete the lesson, then I'll take the sticky note off and stick it to the next lesson. If we don't, I will leave it kind of, halfway down the page or whatnot, so that I know where we need to continue at. Because sometimes we can't get through a whole lesson. Sometimes we can't get through a whole lesson in a day if it's a really tough emotional day, or we're just having a lot of other things that need to be tended to. It doesn't happen, and that is okay. We have lately, he's been doing really, really well and has been just like flying through these lessons. So I'm pretty confident that we're on an upturn here, but everybody has those days. So that's why that's there. So that will eventually go here. But what I do is, since I know that number formation is the first thing there, I just go through lesson 1 and I take a look. Okay, lesson 1 has practice pages 1 and 2. Take out pages, and down here she has them 1 and 2, and I will put that in this first sheet here. But I find this is a good visual for him too, because he knows if he's ready to get started and I'm helping another one of his brother or sister, he just kind of will know to go and flip to the page, and he'll pull the pages out by himself and get going on it sometimes. So the fact that we have it like split by lessons is really helpful for him and I. So This is where it comes in handy, where I crossed off. So this one has practice pages 5, 6, and 7 for the next lesson, but I didn't feel he needed 3 worksheets for that. So I just printed off 5 and 6 and I crossed out 7. So now I know not to be looking for page 7, just to gather pages 5 and 6, and that will be for the next lesson. And I'm just going to continue on doing this for the entire unit. That is it. So what I did was put the pages in here. This will slip into the front here. This is his number formations again. This will be lesson 1. Then I have lesson 2 here, and then on the flip side I have lesson 3. So I have 2 lessons per page, but they're on different sides. So he knows if he's grabbing them out, the pages that are facing the opposite direction go to the other lesson. So 1, 2, 3, 4, lesson 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. And so that is it for this little folder. Now we're going to put together the centers. Okay, so let's put together these centers. First thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut these little, what I'm calling title pages. I'm sure that's not what it's really called, but of course, I've already used my paper cutter. Scissors will work. These are just the gallon bags. I do reuse these from the other ones also, so from the other centers. So these are just gallon size, and then quart size, and then sometimes also I will use the snack size ones, the smaller ones. So we're just going to start with center 1. Center 1 is the count and clip. So I'm going to come in here through my stack and kind of just look for the first center. This right here, it has down at the bottom of the center, it says GK center 1, 2, and 4. So I will just put these together, and I used to put in the clothespins, but I think this time around I'm just going to grab a handful of clothespins and put them in the bin with us so we can use them for different projects. So center 1 is done. This Feed the Unicorn one, I had saved these bags from the other units that were feed the animal type things, but I think the kids use them for a different project, so I don't have those anymore, so I'll have to get a couple more paper bags. So let's do that. Okay, all I could find was this kind of bigger brown paper bag, but this will work. It's fine. I thought I had some like of the lunch bag sizes for the kids for crafts, but we may have actually used them all up. So for this, what I do, because as you'll see, there's more than one of these kind of centers in there, I just cut out what I'll do is keep this bag in the box that we keep the centers in, and then that way when we have one of these centers, I'll just pull the bag back out, and what I do is open the bag up, and then I kind of fold it over. And just kind of paper clip or, whatever, that animal that we're doing for that day to the bag, so we can use the same bag over and over and just put the different faces on it. And then it kind of stands up on its own, and they can feed whatever they're feeding in there. So I have the bag all set for the centers. I will just put this to the side for now. next center is a flip, count, and compare. And so for that one, I just printed it out on a regular sheet because I'm going to stick this in a one of those pockets where you can draw on, a dry erase pocket, so we can use it over again if we want to play it more than one time. And then I just need to find the cards for it. So this is center 5. So same kind of deal. I'm just going to go through all of these, kind of cut them out, put them in the little baggies, and paper clip them together. Okay, this center 7 that she does is one that I printed at half size. So I printed it smaller than it was intended to be originally printed. So center 7 is a read the sentence and decide if it's true or false. So it is designed so that this true or false page is one whole page, but I thought that my little man could still read it at this size, and so I decided to just do it at half page to kind of save a couple of pieces of paper. So this, I just wanted to show you as an example, is one that I was like, oh, this could be a half size sheet and we don't really need to make it any larger than that. I, this time around, am not going to laminate any of these centers because he's been working through the centers so quickly, and the math kind of just flying through once he gets that concept down. He just flies right through it, and he is my youngest, so I don't have like another child that I could be saving this for. So I am not going to laminate anything. I don't think, I haven't seen anything that I'm like, oh, I'm going to laminate this. I just don't think that we're going to this time around. I think in the beginning I was laminating a couple of things. In fact, I know I was because they were much more hands-on, and they were, well, they're all hands-on, which is what I really love about this curriculum. But there was also, he was smaller and just needed that extra weight to it. But now he's getting to a point where he is good with being able to handle it just like this. And it's good to switch it up, just kind of have him trying different things out. So if you were going to laminate, I would go through the same process and just look through and see what needs to be laminated, what doesn't. I wouldn't just automatically laminate all the things. If you were going to have, if he was my oldest child and I was going to save this for multiple children, that would also be another good reason why I think lamination would be the way to go. But like I said, he's my youngest, so I'm not gonna do that for this particular unit. Okay, I just finished up the last center, and these are the ones that we didn't print. So I think they're like 9. I just kept the cards in here. I'm going to go ahead and throw them in our bin anyways in case one of these doesn't work out for some reason, or we just want some extra practice. Then I can just kind of thumb through and see if there's one of these centers that I want to print. So what we keep this in is, this is just the bottom half of his, where we keep the school books and stuff. I will link the video for you in the cards and then in the description below if you want to see how we homeschool prepped these kind of bins for him. And then I just go ahead and lay down all of these units that we do right on in there. That's why I like to have the little baggies, so that if anything gets... And then, like I said, I'm going to put these ones that we didn't use probably down at the bottom here. At the bottom also is that paper bag that we use, or we are going to use, for the feed the unicorn, feed the frog, those kind of things. These will all just lie in there, and then we will put in his folder that has the lessons, actual worksheets and stuff, and that is it. I will snap the other one right on top, and then he'll have, the top layer will be language arts and the bottom will be his math. And that's how I plan his little math. Thank you so much for joining me as I put together his math. We do this every, I don't know, however fast we go through it. I know you can hear my kiddos in the background there, but that's a mom life, right? So we do it just as needed. I could prep the rest of the units all at one time, but I usually find that I don't have the time for that, so I just kind of do it as needed. And so it makes it a little bit easier for me that way. Maybe at another point in life it will be easier for me to do it all at once, but for now, one unit at a time is all I can do before I get back to the kiddos and stuff, and we don't have to do it that often. Thank you so much for joining me as I did this. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and then comment down below. Let me know what you're doing for math in your homeschool and if you had heard of the Moffatt Girls or if you use their curriculum. Thanks again.